Today we've got Evan Schiller. Evan is an amazing golf photographer. He's the official photographer for Bandon Dunes and Pebble Beach. We are so excited to have him on and talk with him today. Enjoy.
Here we go. So everyone, again, we're thrilled to have Evan Schiller of Evan Schiller Photography. We're big fans of Evan's. I first saw him on Facebook and then later on Instagram. He's got an amazing website. We'll talk about later about how you can buy his photography. But Evan, I would say that a lot of your photography is literally jaw-dropping, absolutely stunning, and we're literally thrilled to have you today.
Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for being here. Going through your pictures, like Jeff said, I mean, every single one just makes me say, wow, especially the ones with, courses on a cliff and the angle that you can get. It's really amazing.
Well, I'm lucky I get to go to some pretty nice places.
Yeah.
That helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's start at the beginning. Evan, how did you get into golf?
Wow. My father, he played a lot. He was a pretty avid golfer. He didn't do it, professionally or anything. I think at best he was a 9 or 10 handicap. And my recollection is he would take me to the driving range, sometimes to the golf course. He even gave me my first lessons. So he's the one who got me kickstarted, introducing me to it. I have very vivid memories of going to the driving range with him, even at night.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing in the world because, they'd have lights and the ball would take off and it would go through the dark and then all of a sudden hit the lights. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. All of a sudden it would look like it would just light up in the air. And, he took me on some golf trips and things like that. So that's how I got started, really, is because of him.
But then you continued on. Did you play golf in college?
I played golf in high school. Actually, I was probably at one point I played junior tennis and junior golf. And at one point I was probably better at junior tennis player than I was a golfer. And when I was in high school, I remember I met a couple guys on the golf team and they said, well, why don't you try out? And we played once and they said, you should come and try out. So I did. I remember the coach watched me make a few swings. I don't even know if I hit any balls. He goes, okay, you're good. I played high school golf and I played college golf at University of Miami in Florida. In fact, Woody Austin was on my team. And then I got out of college. I turned professional. I remember I went to tour school. I played mini tours. So I did the whole.
That's awesome.
Did the whole thing. And I worked at a couple of clubs as an assistant.
Were you at Westchester?
Yeah, I worked at 2 clubs in Westchester. I worked at Quaker Ridge for 3 years, and I worked at Westchester for 3 years. Westchester Country Club. Yep. Yeah.
Did you stop playing tennis?
I did.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, yes and no. I didn't really give it a second thought. Although recently, in the last couple of years, I started playing again.
Yeah.
It was during COVID, it was perfect. It was easy.
Do you still get to play a lot of golf though?
I do. I haven't played as much in the last couple of years because of travel, COVID. I played more tennis. But I definitely play.
So how did you make the transition from golf pro to golf photographer?
Well, they both happened sort of at the same time. Well, I should say I was playing tournament golf and I remember going out to the California Open. It was in the Palm Springs area in August and it was 120. I'd never been in temperatures that high in my life. And we played I remember playing the California Open at it was at the mountain course at La Quinta Resort and the Mission Hills course, Mission Hills, the Dinosaur, where they played the Dinosaur now, the whatever it's called, Disco, whatever it's called. And somebody said, hey, you guys should go check out this new course that just opened up down the road in La Quinta. we were staying at the La Quinta Resort, and it happened to be the stadium course at PGA West that Pete Dye just built it. It was at that time it was the sister course to Sawgrass, because Sawgrass I think had opened up a couple years before. So we went out there and played. There was nothing. I mean, nothing. It was just a golf course. I think they had some model homes, but it was desert and a golf course. And I remember walking down the ninth hole. We hit our shots, and it's this par 4 dog leg left around the lake, and it had a sand trap running the length of the fairway, and then the railroad ties, the Pete Dye railroad ties that ran the hole. And it was a completely still morning. So there was and against the backdrop of this mountain, and there was a perfect reflection of the mountain in the water. And incidentally, the hole is called Reflection. And I looked at this, and you didn't have phones at that time to take a picture. So I looked at this and said, wow, I wish I had a camera. It was so beautiful. So I went home and I bought a camera and I started taking it with me and taking photos of courses, my friends, just for kicks. And I'd give the photos away. I would even hang them on my wall. I remember having, all across the top of the wall, photos from all the golf courses I had played. And I had no thought or hopes of ever becoming a professional photographer at that time. I just liked taking photos. So when I kind of curtailed my tournament play and I started working as an assistant at Westchester, actually the same guy, Tom Patry, who's my buddy, who's the guy who was playing with me at PGA West. When I went to work at Westchester, he was there working with me as well. He says, why don't you sell some of these in the pro shop? And I kind of laughed and I thought that was a big joke. Who's going to buy these things, right?
Yeah.
So we put a few in the shop during the Buick Classic, which they used to have there. And I remember the first day, a few of them sold, to my surprise. So I had to go get more framed, and that's how it started. Then I did a couple more clubs in the area, and it just took off from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the business now is pretty big.
What's that?
So your business now is pretty big, right? How long have you officially been a professional photographer?
It's over 20 years now, I think. Yeah.
Living the life.
Yeah.
Going to golf courses, amazing golf courses, and taking pictures.
Yeah, it's been a real a blessing. Just a real treat to be able to do it and go to these, amazing places like, Old Head, which is right behind you there. Yeah.
So do these places ask you to come take pictures?
Yeah.
To some of them? And then
yeah, that's how I do all my shoots. I know. The courses will contact me to come shoot. We have a back and forth about what they want. Some courses they want all 18, some just want collection, and usually what they use them for is their website, their marketing, social media, things like that. So yeah, that's how the work comes. I know there's a lot of people who see my photos and they think I just run around taking pictures of golf courses. It's not because they see all my photos on, they see I sell photos, they see them on social media, and they think I just run around taking photos. Well, I do, but I'm hired to do it. I don't do it on my own. Like, okay, I want to go shoot this one, and this one. And no, it's based on who hires me.
It's got to come with a free round, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, if time allows, yeah.
Well, you're the officially licensed photographer of Bandon Dunes and Pebble Beach. That must rewarding and exciting.
It is. Yeah, it is. I'm not, there's a couple, I'm not the only one, but yeah, it's a real treat to go to those places. In fact, I'm heading up to Bandon in about in a month. I'm heading back up there for a week.
Yeah.
Whenever you get asked to go take pictures of East Lake and you need a couple for your foursome,
okay.
Jeff and I would be happy to assist.
All right, you got it. I hope I get to go there someday. I've never been there. You got some good ones down there.
Yeah, I've got a friend I've got a friend that's a member there, and I've played it maybe 10 times. It's, spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how scenic it is. It's not as scenic as what, or at least maybe in your mind's eye it would be. There are some holes that would be captivating aesthetically, but
Right.
it's not. I'm sure you could make it look even more captivating than
That's his job.
that.
That's his job. I hope he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's been your biggest inspiration in photography? Have you had any people that have inspired you?
Let me think here. Yeah, there's a couple of guys. There's a guy by the name of, he's not a golf course photographer, Christopher Burkett. He does mostly landscapes, but I really appreciate he spends about a month or two of the year shooting. And then he spends the rest of the year in a lab producing prints, and he produces these incredible prints. I have a few in the house.
So it takes a lot of time to edit and make them perfect.
There's a whole process he goes through to produce these prints that is off the charts.
And you take just as much time and effort as he does in editing?
Well, in editing, yes. In printing, no, because I don't have the wherewithal or the facilities here. He has his whole house set up, to do that, and he has the time. I mean, I have a lab that produces my prints.
I got you.
I'm not set up to do that.
My sister started out doing a little bit of photography just for couples and such. And
I'm not sure about that.
that was my I can't say
Alexa.
the A word, but don't say it again. She'll announce again. But it was the editing that really got her out of it. She didn't have enough time for that. But
yeah, it's pretty time consuming. I just for every day I shoot, there's at least a day of editing. I just got back from a shoot in Hawaii for 5 days, and I shot a lot of video and a lot of stills, and so I got a lot of work ahead of me. That might be at least 2 weeks, of work to finish that stuff. Yeah. So there's actually probably more time editing than there is shooting. If you figure, the amount of time that I spend shooting, because I don't shoot all day, versus editing, where editing could take all day.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What course were you at in Hawaii?
It's on Maui, McKenna. It's called McKenna Golf and Beach Club. It used to be a public course, and it was taken over by Discovery Land. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys.
Yeah.
They own a lot of really high-end properties, and they anything they touch turns to gold. They have quite what I call the Midas touch as far as taking these courses and just turning them into something really special. Now it's private. It's part of the Discovery Land, portfolio of courses. They have them all over, all the United States, actually all over the world. So I've done some work for them along the way.
So you just got back from Hawaii. You travel all over the world to shoot golf courses. What's your favorite place to shoot so far?
Wow. Good question. I love going to Bandon Dunes. It's one of the best golf destinations on the planet, if not the best. I love going there. Hawaii is pretty beautiful. It was just, the weather was just great. The course I was just at was amazing. The conditions were amazing. I love going to Ireland. Those trips are pretty special too. So, I have an affinity for, links type golf, which, obviously Bandon is, and going to Ireland is. But I would say if I had to pick two places, it would probably be those two places.
Sweet.
It's tough. There's there's a place in the Dominican Republic called Punta Espada, which I also love. It's
I'm going there. Well, I'm going to the Dominican Republic on Saturday
yeah.
for vacation, and I'm not taking my clubs. And as poorly as I'm playing recently, I don't think I'm gonna. I was thinking I'll just rent some clubs down there. Now I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned Bandon Dudes a moment ago.
Yeah.
And Hayden and I were talking before we joined this call about the fifth hole at Bandon Dunes. That photograph you took is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Can you talk about and again, we'll tell people to go there. It's just as an example, Evan, when you look at the photograph that you took that's behind me of Old Head in Ireland,
Yeah.
The photograph at Bandon Dunes is completely different. Yep. This one's bathed in sunlight. The one at Bandon Dunes looks eerie. Yeah. It's fantastic. Tell us about how you captured that moment.
Wow. Well, part of it's luck, but part of it is just showing up. It was in the morning. It was, as you could see, it was overcast, misty. The fog was, the mist and the fog was rolling off the ocean. So I went out there and I was just waiting. Had my rain suit on, and I noticed on the horizon to the east there was a little break in the clouds, and I thought, well, maybe I'll get lucky. Believe me, I had a lot of mornings where it was like that, and I got shut out. So for every one that this happens, there's another 8 or 10 that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I launched the drone and I flew it down towards the fourth green, just so I could get the whole hole in there. But the golfers were coming down the fourth. They had a tournament. The golfers were coming down the fourth hole, and I knew that once they got on 5, it was going to be tough for me to take any photos, just because they'd be on the fourth green, they'd be on a 5, and I don't like flying drone when people are around. So I launched it and I flew it back just off the cliffs. I was kind of just over the beach and waited, because I knew that if the sun came out, it wouldn't last long if it did come out.
Yeah.
So my only hope was that my battery wouldn't run out on the drone. It lasts maybe 20, 25 minutes. So I put a full battery, just hovered it there, hoping that the sun would come out and hoping it would do that before the golf. And I could hear the golfers coming and talking, "Hey, dude, man, was that a drone?" I could hear them talking about it.
Yeah.
And the sun literally broke through for maybe 30 seconds, I would say. And of those 30 seconds, I probably got off 10 or 12 frames, shots, maybe a few more. It might have not even been 30 seconds. 3 of them, which were really good. The others, it was kind of, the green, the fairway was in sun, but the green was in the shade. It was in the shade. So there was only a couple where the entire hole was lit with sun. And that was it. That was it for the morning. Got nothing else. So it just.
What percentage of your shots are taken with drones versus handheld?
Well, I shoot everything off a tripod. So, once in a while I'll do a handheld.
Oh.
When I shoot, it's always off a tripod.
Yeah.
A good majority of them now are, but a drone has really, we used to use lifts, or cherry picker, a thing that
right.
They used to trim the trees, they drive it out on the course, and,
right.
Sometimes it was a bucket truck. So they parked the truck on the path and you'd go up in the boom and they'd swing you out. Yeah. Or they had these things you would pull with one of those John Deere gators, and then you'd stop it and you'd have to put the legs down and you'd go up. That was really time consuming. So the drone has really replaced those. So I'll even shoot, with instead of using that, like sometimes with those things, you'd only go up 15, 20 feet, 10 feet sometimes. So sometimes I'll only take the drone up 10 feet if if it seems appropriate, or maybe 15 feet. Sometimes it's appropriate to go up 50 feet. So I would say probably, 80% of the shots now are with a drone, but they're from various heights. Where I used to shoot with a, regular DSLR camera from a lift, I use a drone now instead. So it's been a real game changer because it can go where,
Well,
you're limited. You're always limited where you can take the lift or the bucket truck. Like that shot of Bandon Dunes, I could have never got that shot of Bandon Dunes with a cherry picker or a lift. That photo behind you was taken off the back deck, the back patio of the clubhouse at Old Head off a tripod. So that was not taken with the drone.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think, I've got so many questions for you, but the idea is that a lot of people have taken photographs at Old Head.
Right.
And of these iconic properties you go to, how do you make yours stand out? Because a lot of people go to the exact same spot, take a very similar photograph, and you're taking what appear to be really, I shouldn't say appear to be, they are very unique photographs.
Yeah.
He didn't want to tell us his secret in case the other guys are listening.
Yeah, no. So I had I never took a photography class in my life. But I did have one photographer who was a friend of mine. He says, I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'll tell you this one thing. He says, as a photographer, you're responsible for everything in that frame. Make it interesting. Basically, what he's saying is not just the center of the frame, because lots of times when people take a photo, they look at the middle of the frame. They don't take into account, lower right, lower left, upper right, upper left. So composite. So we're basically talking about composition. So composing the photo so it looks nice, it flows nice. I have like when people take photos of golf course and they'll cut off part of a green or cut off part of a bunker when they could have included. Now, sometimes it's not possible, but I just try to, first of all, compose it so everything just flows or looks nice. A lot of it, my job is really, I'm at the mercy of the weather. I am. And so sometimes you can get, you could have a beautiful clear day, take a photo and it's nice. And then the next day you get some really interesting cloud formations, or like at Bandon Dunes, you get a overcast, misty day and, the sun comes out for a few seconds and you get this amazing shot and you go back the next day and it's a beautiful sunny morning. You take the same exact angle, it would never have the dramatic effect that the one that you caught on that. So, a lot of it has to do with light, the time of day. When I go to a golf course, I scout it a lot, just so I know where I want to be at certain times, certain angles. And then also, from doing this a long time, you get a sense of, okay, well, this hole might look really great just right after sunrise or right before sunset. So a lot of it's, capturing the hole in the optimal light or light that, just, the shadows look nice. The whole thing looks nice. So that's a lot.
Well, for you, timing is everything, right? I mean,
yeah.
So that was interesting. You said that you time it. You scout out the course. So when you travel somewhere, is your first couple hours or first day just kind of planning your day out, your shooting day out?
Well, I usually, let's say I got a shoot that starts tomorrow in Arizona, just for, right? I would make it a point to get there early enough in the day. I'd probably have to leave the East Coast really early. I leave early enough in the day so that I could get there in time to, scout the course and hopefully have enough time to shoot. Because in the scout, just looking, scouting the course to learn the layout, because I want to be able to get around as efficiently as possible. So, there's always, so you learn the course and there's always little shortcuts, and just knowing how to get, okay, if I'm on the 5th hole, how do I get to 17 as quick as possible? Or if I'm on 6, how do I get to, 13 as quick as possible? And there's little shortcuts sometimes. And okay, well, I want to shoot these holes. I think I want to shoot these holes in the morning and these holes in the afternoon. And if I have the chance to shoot that afternoon, right, certain holes, I see, okay, well, I see what the light looks like on these holes in the afternoon. And then I think, well, I think I want to shoot these in the morning. And then I get to see what those holes, maybe other holes look like in the morning. And then from there, I know, okay, the next day, well, that one wasn't as great in the afternoon as I thought. Maybe I'll try it in the morning. So it's a whole learning process, but and some of it's guessing, but it's an educated guess from doing this for, a lot of years. Like this shoot I just did in Hawaii. Getting to Hawaii from the East Coast and getting there in time to scout is impossible, because it's just, you get there at night.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I got to go out the next morning kind of cold. I remember, I'd been to McKenna a number of years ago, so I remember some of it. But so I got up super early. But I also talked to the superintendent, right? Because they're out there working, and we agreed that he was going to go out early and prep some of the holes that I thought I wanted to shoot. So his guys went out early, like 5 a.m. and mowed like 4 holes. And I got out there super early just to scout to see, okay, well, this one might look good when the sun comes up. So there's scouting, there's talk, I got to work with the superintendent, because sometimes they'll go out and prepare the hole before I shoot, like go out, mow, rake bunkers, but do it in such a way that, they don't leave tracks in the dew, because that doesn't look good.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
a lot of it's part of the scouting is so that I can go back, not only for myself, but I can go to the superintendent and say, hey, I want to shoot these holes in the morning. What do you think? He goes, okay, you know what? I think I can mow out 3 of them. Or he'll say, listen, I don't know if I can do it. We'll just leave them alone. We'll go to rake bunkers, and I'll have my guys stay off so they don't make any tracks. So, they have a couple of guys go out and rake bunkers, but stay off the grass so they don't drive and make tracks in the dew. So there's scouting, but there's also coordinating with the superintendent.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because you don't want to get out there.
So I noticed, Evan, that there are never any people in your photographs. So how do you arrange that? You talked about it at Bandon Dunes, how you had to take the photographs quickly because you could hear them coming. But are there instances where the course is shut down a couple of holes so that you can take photographs, or how do you do it so there's nobody?
Well, I have a gun, so I just come in. No, I'm just kidding.
Hide the body.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times when I'm shooting, I'm going out pretty early in the morning. I'm ahead of golf, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Not always, but like on this last shoot, I was, I'd be out ahead of golf, with the exception there was one day, a couple golfers come by. Generally in the afternoon is when it's more challenging with regard to golfers. So sometimes I just have to work around them, which also, knowing golf, like when I'm out there shooting, knowing where the golfers are is important, because I'll say, okay, there's a group on 5 and there's a group on 7, 6 is open. Okay, I can go shoot 6 now. And then after that group on 5 goes to 6, I can go shoot 5. So you got to jockey around the golfers, and sometimes you can't always do it. So you take it, you take a shot with the golfers in it. If they're in the fairway, it's easy enough to edit them out. I've even gone so far as to ask them, could you wait a second while I take a few shots? Once in a while, there'll be a course and they'll block tee times. In the morning, they'll like, instead of, that's why I always ask them, what's the first tee time? I'll say, what's the first tee time? And they'll say 7 a.m. I said, well, is there anybody teeing off at 7 a.m.? Well, no, the first tee time's not till 7:30. And then, sometimes they'll block them. Like, well, we blocked the first hour so nobody can tee off till 8. I said, okay, well, that's good. That helps. And then we cut off. Nobody can play after 4 or so tee off at sometimes they do that. It's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
It makes life easier, especially if it's a really crowded golf course. That's when it gets tough.
Right. Well, you mentioned I shouldn't say you mentioned in going through your website, you've shot at some of the most iconic courses in Scotland, like the Old Course, Kings Barnes, the Castle Course, Royal Aberdeen, Cruden Bay, Royal Doorknock. What's your favorite Scottish course, or what's the favorite experience you've had shooting in Scotland?
Scotland. I love Doorknock.
Yeah.
I really liked it. There's something really magical about that place. And I had some really dramatic weather. A lot of it was overcast. I didn't get a lot of rain, but it was a lot of overcast. And there was a couple of mornings where it was overcast and the sun broke out for a few seconds. And so I got some, pretty dramatic shots there. I just like the whole place. I love the drive up there. I mean, it's way up there. I love the drive through the headlands, and the time of year we went, the heather was blooming all over. So you were driving, and there was this hillsides just covered with it, which was really beautiful.
Yeah, I remember I don't know how many photos. I remember one particular photograph you took of Royal Doorknock, and the sky was kind of an eerie blue.
Yeah.
And there was a great shadow cast across the fairway.
I'm looking at it right now.
10 hole. Actually, it's hanging. I have it in my house, hanging up. It's one of my favorites.
It's really
cool.
cool.
Actually, it used to be right on that wall, but we moved it upstairs. Yeah, that's that was so that shot. I knew I wanted to get that hole, and it was a cloudy day, and I was with my wife, and we were all the way on the other side of the golf course. And it was a similar thing to Bandon Dunes. I thought, oh my God, the sun's going to come out. So we raced back across the course to get to that spot.
That's awesome.
And it came out for a minute, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The course that I belong to is you're driving up through Scotland to Inverness. And if you were going to Doorknock, you'd continue kind of due north. But at Inverness, you'd make a right and go over to at my golf course is called Murray Golf Club. It's in Lossiemouth. It was old Tom Morris laid it out in 1889. It's one of those old classic links courses. Not quite as dramatic as Royal Doorknock, but like Old Head, we do have a lighthouse at the end of the property, which is dramatic. And if I wasn't on with you, my typical background is that a shot from our clubhouse out.
Nice.
It's sunset. It's beautiful. But so in Ireland, again, you've been to some of the most iconic courses there. You've been to the old course at Ballybunion, Tralee, Doonbeg, Royal Portrush, Port Stewart, Rossapena, which is a favorite of ours, Waterville. And you've also been to Hogshead, which is kind of new or relatively new for Ireland, and not many people know about it. What's your favorite course to shoot in Ireland?
Well, Hogshead used to be Skellig Bay. So it's, there was always a golf course there. They just, Royal County Down. First time I played Royal County Down was probably, 25 years ago, I want to say. Yeah. And it was my favorite course then, and it still is today.
Your favorite of all the golf courses?
That and Cypress Point and Fisher's Island. I'd say those three. It's an amazing place. I just remember the first time I played it, my draw was hitting the ground we had just come from Ballybunion. I had played a golf tournament at Ballybunion. And again, somebody said, you need to go up to, if you like Ballybunion, you need to go up and play this course up there. And they said, well, it's quite a drive from here. I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
My buddy and I drove up there, and we played Royal County Down in Portrush. Tell you what, if I only had those two courses to play for the rest of my life, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Well,
a while back, yeah, those would be two. You can't go wrong with those two. One of the, we don't like the term hidden gem. We use the term diamond in the rough.
Okay.
And you've been to Rossapena.
Yep.
And you did, I think you photographed the Sandy Hills links there.
Yep.
We had John Casey, one of the owners of Rossapena, on this podcast a while ago. They've opened a third course called St. Patrick's.
Yep. Tom Doak did it, right? Yeah. I think Tom.
Yeah. You need to get a commission there.
Okay. Yeah. I hope so.
I mean, that would be a great place.
Oh, you know what? I loved it up there. That and oh God, I'm spacing out now. Oh, it'll come to me. I love that just off the beaten path kind of, and the ruggedness of the land up there was just, I loved it. We took I remember going past the club and down this road, and there was all these little houses, and the land was just the ruggedness of the land was so beautiful. We just loved it. Yeah, it was really.
Well, there's a place in Scotland that you need to see, and it's called Dumbarnie Links. Have you heard of that?
I was just about to say that.
Yep. I
played that. I played there. I was one of the first Americans fortunate enough to play there. And your comment about how you felt at Royal County Down, that's how I felt there. Every time you turn the corner away from towards a new tee box, you were just like, wow. Every hole it's like, wow, it is a gorgeous place.
That would be a good one.
So what's the most unusual place you've had to shoot? I'm sorry.
Most unusual. Wow. Good question. Trying to think. Nothing is coming to mind. I mean, there's been some challenging places to shoot because of the background. There's, I don't know, buildings or wires or stuff like that. Background is, so that makes it, I guess, unusual. It'll come to me.
Okay. Well, I've got another question. This is an important one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So there are going to be a lot of golfers watching this, right?
Right.
And our whole thing is to get them to buy your photography, right? That's what we want them to do. But in addition to that, you're an expert photographer. For all these people that go over to the British Isles to play golf, what tips do you have on how they can take better photographs with their iPhone?
No, it's a good question. So, it goes back to part of it goes back to what I said about my friend who was a photographer and what he said to me. He goes, "You're responsible for everything in the frame, make it interesting." So one of the things that you have to take into account is the camera, whether it's just a regular DSLR or your phone, doesn't see things the way your eye does. Your eye sees in 3 dimensions. But also when you're looking out, you don't realize it, but you're interpreting things, right? If that makes any sense. You're interpreting, so you're looking out, but you're also evaluating, and you're judging it, and you're making up stories about it. And the photo doesn't do that. So in other words, if you're standing in the middle of a fairway and you're looking out at the green, right? Your eye is looking down towards the green, right? You may not necessarily see the fairway right in front of you, unless you look down. So your eye takes into account what's out there ahead of you. However, if you stand there and take a photo, right, that green is going to look like a P. And your fairway is going to take up all the frame, right?
Right.
Because it's there in the foreground. And you may not necessarily see that as you're standing in the fairway, even though it's there. But it also, you're taking a three-dimensional object or experience and you're putting it onto a flat screen. And you're taking something that's life-size and putting it onto a screen that's however big your phone is, 2.5 by 5 or whatever it is, 3 by 5, less than that. So you have to take that into account. So how do you combat that, or how do you get around that? Get elevation if you can. In other words, crawl on the back of the cart, crawl on a mound, get up on a hill, have something interesting in the foreground rather than just a fairway. Because you stand in the middle of the fairway and take a photo, I guarantee you probably half the photo is going to be fairway, or 40% of the photo is going to be fairway, 40% is going to be sky, and 20% is going to be, what you really want to take a photo of. So by getting up in the air a little bit or getting elevation, you can reduce that. The other thing you can do is when you can zoom in, I wouldn't do it when you take the photo, but you can always crop it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then, crop into what you really want to take. Like this photo here, I was the one of Old Head. I was on the ground, but I was on the back patio, which is elevated. And I did zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of foreground that I didn't necessarily want. So, it's looking through that phone or camera, whatever, and just, assessing the frame. Okay, well, how much of it is sky? How much of it is fairway? How much of it is what you really want to take a photo of?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the idea of bringing something interesting in the foreground, I remember more than 20 years ago, I was in Ireland at Enniscrone, which is on the west coast, and it was very dramatic dunes, and they had this tall, wispy grass, and I kind of laid down in the grass and raised my camera up, looking down at a green, but you had wisps of grass sticking up.
Yeah.
And it made it a unique photograph because everyone else would have been doing what you suggested. Or, standing in the middle of the fairway. It was a very dramatic photograph.
Yeah. That's why even if, let's say you were in the middle of the fairway, getting up on a cart, the back of a cart, I don't know if the club wants you to do that, but,
right.
Even like, that's why when I take photos, even getting up 10 feet makes a huge difference, because all of a sudden now I can see things like sand, I can see bunkers, or I can see undulations in the fairway that I may not be able to see from ground level.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've played a lot of golf, and you said you're playing a little bit now, right? You still get to play some.
Yes.
Do you have anything left on your golfing bucket list? Any courses that you haven't gotten to play that you want to?
Yeah. Sand Hills, Nebraska.
Okay.
Gordon Crimachaw's, probably the best modern, probably the best course built after 1950, best modern day course, I would say. And New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand. The courses in the sand.
You haven't been there yet?
I haven't been there yet. Nope.
Yeah.
Courses in the sand belt, and in New Zealand, like Kidnappers, Kari Cliffs.
Yeah.
Cape Wickham. That's probably high. Those are the high one. Those are on the high on the list.
Yeah.
Trying to think of.
So tell people how they can buy your photography?
Well, there's a store on my website, evanschillerphotography.com. They can purchase prints there from lot of different courses and different, printed on different mediums. There's metal, there's canvas, there's just, regular photographic prints. And then there's also this other print that my lab does. It's called an epic metal print, which is, to spare you all the technical mumbo jumbo, it's printed on a very high definition printer on this special it's paper called Fujiflex paper, which almost looks like glass, and then they mount it on metal, and it's pretty sweet. I actually have I have 3 of them. I had that photo of Bandon Dunes. I have a 30 by 40 print of it on an epic print hanging right over there.
Yeah, I saw some reviews of people saying that they got that one and that it was unbelievable.
Yeah. I have that one. I have one of the sheep ranch I took. So yeah, they're really beautiful. Like them a lot. So
yeah, excellent. So people can follow you on. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Evan.
Oh no, go ahead. I can say what I got to say later.
I was going to say people can follow you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They have to go visit your website. It's the place to be for golf photography.
Yeah. I'm probably most active on Instagram. When it originally came out, it was built for photography. It's changed a little bit over the years,
right?
But yeah, it's probably the best medium for photography.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll have all that on our social media when we post this out.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed looking through your artwork and hope to see lots more and the courses that you want to get to. Maybe some Australian courses. Yeah,
I hope so someday. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next or, well, I know it's, our summer is their winter. So it'll probably be in the winter or something that I go down there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I got some pretty nice places I'm going to this year.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Evan, thanks for being with us.
Oh,
we can't wait to promote your business, and hopefully all of our viewers and listeners are going to buy a lot of your prints. So thanks for being here.
That would be nice.
Thank you so much to Evan again for coming on with us. We're going to put his website in the description on the social media and the podcast pages, so you can go in and buy his photography, get it framed. They're amazing. Just go look at the reviews. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends and family, and we'll see you next week.